Hello and welcome along to the Weather Studio. I'm Alex Deakin.
And I'm Claire Nazir, and this time, that's 1 o'clock every Tuesday, we were presenting a live 20 minutes or so about the weather. Now, we are live today in the HQ of the Met Office down in Exeter. This is our weather studio where we normally present the weather on the weather app and all our social media channels. And today we are live and we're talking all things weather. Now, this is really not a forecast. It's talking about trends. We're talking about extremes of weather, not only in the UK, but across the world as well.
Any interesting things about meteorology, basically, be them in the past or in the future coming up, and as Claire says, right around the world, as well as being focused in on the UK. Now, this is the first one of these, and we'd really like your feedback. We'd really like you to like this page. You can subscribe to our Met Office channel, and please put comments below. Ask us questions. We'll try and get through some of those questions during the course of this live. But of course, we're hoping to come back week after week. So if you've got any suggestions at all, any feedback, although it is our first one, so go gentle on us.
Please.
Please just keep those coming, and we'll go through them, and we'll try and create as much of this for you as we can. What's coming up today, Claire?
Coming up today, we've got a real packed show today. So we're talking about the highs and lows of May, not only May, but spring. And it has been an exceptional spring. We really jumped from winter to summer, didn't we?
Amazing, hasn't it?
Amazing. And we've got the man of the moment, Dr. Mark McCarthy. He knows his stats.
He really does.
So he'll be bringing us the highs and the lows.
The stat
And,
man
you know, this tan was the May sunshine. We're talking about May sunshine as well. And then I'm going to be testing Alex on another extreme. Oh, that pollen forecast, my goodness, yes. So we'll be talking facts and figures about pollen, and not only that, some exceptional weather somewhere in the world. We'll be showing you some imagery, and where in the world was it, and when did it happen?
But also, we've had some pretty extreme weather close to home. Let's start with this, which was taken on Monday afternoon. A picture from Rachel Kellett. Kindly sent it in straight to our Met Office Facebook page. Sent this picture in yesterday saying, what is it? Well, it's basically a funnel cloud, and it's the start of a tornado. When these clouds start spinning down like this, they're called funnel clouds until they reach the ground, and then we have a tornado. Now, this one at this stage hasn't touched the ground, but there are suggestions that it did eventually touch the ground. We've got some other footage here, courtesy of Wales Online, of what we think is the same storm over Pembrokeshire yesterday afternoon. Now, again, there's some houses in the way, so we can't quite confirm that this did touch the ground here, but there are other pictures that we've seen suggesting that it did actually become
You can see the
a
wind
tornado.
really picking up there. I don't think there was much damage, but even so, an amazing sight.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be scared if you saw that in your back garden. So, yes, this was footage yesterday afternoon, but it was very, very localised. We can show you just how localised by taking a look at the radar picture from yesterday afternoon. So this is our radar network, which picks up the showers and the downpours. You can see not much going on. It's largely dry. But here, notice a big cell, a big thunderstorm close by to Swansea. But it was this one that we think created that tornado. Again, the brighter the colours there on the radar, the heavier the rain, the more powerful, the more violent the storm, and therefore the more likely it is to spawn tornadoes. So this is where it was, but it was very, very localised. Again, if you're on the coast, you probably wouldn't even notice it. And again, there was another similar storm in central Wales through the afternoon. So very, very localised.
So localised winds as well, coming in from two completely different directions, which adds the uplift, etc. So violent if you were there. You probably saw some heavy rain for a time.
Around the coast, you get these features with the winds because you get sea breezes coming in. They can all, if the sea breeze coming in here and coming in here, then it's called sea breeze convergence, and that can help with the uplift and create a storm.
We do get quite a lot of tornadoes in this country, don't we?
More than most people think, in fact, and this graph shows it. This map is from a Royal Met Soc paper, again, the link of which will be in the description on our YouTube page, and this basically shows touchdowns, recorded tornadoes from the 30 years, from the 80s through to 2010. And it shows a couple of interesting things. There is a bit of a bias. There are more of them close to the south coast of Wales there, again, possibly created by the sea breezes. And also there's a little bit of a spike, an increased number of them on the south coast of England there. And there's a theory that actually the Isle of Wight plays a part in that and disturbs the flow of the air and can help to create tornadoes in this part of the world. Now, there's a lot more of them across England and Wales than there are further north. And you'd probably expect that anyway, because it's warmer in the south generally than the north, and of course the warmth is the energy that sparks the thunderstorms. But there's probably also a bit of a bias in here about population. Yeah. Because more people live in this area, so more people spot them. So that is probably inherent in the bias here as well. There probably were some across the Highlands of Scotland, but just not spotted.
And relative to other parts of Europe, we do get more per square mile than many other places across Europe, apart from apparently the Netherlands. Now, you don't actually believe me.
Well, I'm not sure.
Jury's out.
Jury's out on that. But there is a theory
But
that we get more per square mile than many other countries. And the frequency, this graph again from that same paper in the Royal Met Soc, shows the frequency of tornadoes in the UK going on the bottom here. Again, it's over the 30-year period from January to December, and you can see that there's a definite rise there. Number we're most likely to see them during the hottest months, July, August, and September as well. So we get that peak here. Whereas in May, it's just starting to rise as the temperatures start to rise. But of course, May is traditionally the most popular month for those massive tornadoes that we see in the United States, and that's because of the setup there, and they get the massive contrast between the very cold polar air and the warm air coming
in fact, there's a great explainer on our YouTube channel about Tornado Alley and what happens there and the reason why it does. And it's the same mechanism here in the UK. Now I'm going to ask you a question, Alex.
Yes.
Why is that so high?
Now that's a very good question. Yeah. This is tornadoes by month, and there was one day in November that there was like 100 tornadoes spotted in one, so one particularly violent day. So you've got a bit of a spike. There's a bit of an anomaly there, and that was just one particularly unstable day in the UK. And of course, this is only over 30 years, and we're only talking on average 30 or 40 tornadoes. Yeah. So you can still have spikes in it. It's not a massive statistic, so it's a bit of an anomaly just from one day.
And we are going to get thunderstorms over the next week or so. So if you do spot a funnel cloud or something like that, please send us your pictures.
And that video talked about is on the Learn About Weather channel. It's our other YouTube channel. Yeah. Again, there's a link for that in the description to this page.
Now, here in the Met Office, we do love a bar chart, don't we? We love a graph, we really do. And in fact, we do collate a lot of statistics across the UK just to show what's going on month by month, year by year, and compare that what's happening site-specifically on a particular day. Now, let me introduce you to Mark McCarthy, Dr. Mark McCarthy.
Let's go through what's your role, Mark, first of all. What's your job here in the Met Office?
Well, here in the Met Office, I manage the National Climate Information Centre. So we routinely monitor UK weather and climate going back centuries.
So you are the stat man. The go-to man when it comes to weather stats. You're an absolute mind.
You've had a really busy spring, haven't you? My goodness.
It's always interesting. Yes.
Tell us about this.
Yeah, tell us about this.
So this is a summary of the spring that we've had, which actually overall for temperature was not that exceptional. It was a bit warmer than average, but that averaging sort of hides lots of the detail and the extremes that we have. So what this chart is showing, this is showing the daily maximum temperature averaged across the whole of the UK. So this is kind of a national average statistic for every day of the spring, from the 1st of March through to the 31st of May. So it's really capturing those elements of our weather right through the season. And this red curve that's cutting through it, that's the climatology. So that's the average of what we would expect the warming through spring would normally look like, would sort of normally follow that trajectory.
Just to clarify, spring, we define spring as the months of March, April and May.
That's right.
So summer for us started on Friday, last Friday, the 1st of June. There's always some discussions, shall we say, about that, some people, but for meteorological purposes, and basically it is for the statistics, isn't it? That's why we class the seasons as we do. So this is for meteorological spring, which is March, April and May.
That's right. Yeah.
However, there are some real significant dips here. I mean, I'm talking frigid air.
Yeah, really cold, really cold. The season just got off to
so we began 1st of March, record-breaking low maximum temperatures.
And that was the beast from the east.
That's beast from the east, minus 4.7 at Tredegar. Exceptional conditions, so beast from the east. And what we can see as we go through the season is then we had the sort of beast from the east 2 and 3, and you can sort of see it losing its teeth to some extent as we come through the season and we warm up. And then we hit April, and 19th of April, again, saw some exceptional temperatures, but this time the other way around. So 29.1 degrees we got in St James Park in London. And that is
still the hottest day of the year so far. Even though we've had a very warm May, the hottest day of the year so far, according to the UK, is back in April.
But because of that peak, it looks like the whole of the UK saw really high temperatures that day. It wasn't just, otherwise it would have been averaged out a bit more, would you say?
Yes, but so although the peak temperature is 29, actually 28, 29 was seen quite widely, but also in the 20s, quite far north as well. So that's why it's still stands out even in a national average.
And it was close to the all-time April record of 30 degrees.
It was very close to it, 29.4. Yeah.
Very close.
Yes, it was very close.
And then we move on to May.
And then we come into May. So, a couple of things to say about May. So, what we can see is that for most of the month, our weather was warmer than average by several degrees, sort of 3 degrees overall for the month for maximum temperature. Now we did have some cooler nights, particularly towards the start of the month, and that's because there were a lot of clear skies. It was quite sunny, so we had cooler nights. So actually, the nighttime temperatures not quite so.
So this is
notable.
the daily maximum.
This is the daily maximum temperature. Yeah. So we did see for May overall a record high maximum temperature on average. And you might notice something else on
this
here.
This is really remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got two particular notable spikes in May temperature. And this first one is the early May bank holiday, and this second one is the late May bank holiday.
Unreal. It actually coincided with both the bank holidays.
Have you ever known anything like this?
2 bank holidays, sunny and warm across most of the UK. Made our life a lot easier. Didn't it?
It's a remarkable coincidence, actually. Yeah.
It is, yeah. We may never see it again in our life.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And also, so this is the warmth, but May was also notable for another reason, which these graphs show quite nicely. It was sunny. It was a very sunny month.
Yeah, that's right. It's very notable sunny, but actually we've been quite lucky for a few years now in May to see plenty of sunshine, and actually springs in general. And so what we're showing here are maps of the UK of sunshine, what we refer to as anomalies. So this is the yellow, the darker the yellow colour is the more sunshine that has been experienced compared to what we might normally experience for the last 3 years, 2016,
2027 this year.
And this year.
Wow,
that's right.
Pretty much the whole of the UK is yellow. So pretty much all parts, apart from that little bit there,
and a bit of Cornwall.
And a bit of Cornwall had more than the average sunshine.
Yes,
in May.
and notably more. So for the UK, because it's UK-wide, we also broke the record for the sunniest May on record.
Right, and records go back to?
And the sunshine records go back to 1929 for the national statistics.
And this is a particular sunny spot there. That was the sunny. Is that almost double the monthly average?
Yes, yeah, that's right. So actually the sunniest of our recording stations was at Rosthern, 290 hours, so that's sort of over 9 hours a day on average of sunshine in Cheshire.
If only you had a birthday in May, it'd be brilliant. You could just plan ahead, couldn't you? Barbecues, Mounty Castle, etc.
You could do that.
In this area here. Yeah.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. That's incredible
fantastic,
statistics. Thank you very much for that.
And we're in June, and actually the sun has come out again today, hasn't it, for some of us anyway?
Yeah. Well, early June is continuing the theme at the moment.
Warm, but also with a few thunderstorms. Thank you very much for that.
Mark. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have Mark back again as we go through the statistics, because we do love a statistic.
We love a number. Yes. We really do. However, we don't like these numbers, do we? We really don't.
Most people don't.
No.
Most people do not like this map at the moment that's showing pollen. You may have noticed, you've probably got friends, at least if you're not a sufferer yourself, who've been sneezing quite a lot recently because the number of people talking about the pollen levels has jumped up dramatically in the past week or so. These are the levels. VH stands for very high levels across Wales, northwest England, southern England, high levels across the rest of England and Wales, lower levels across Scotland, actually. Now, there's lots going on here. We could just talk about this for a while, couldn't we? Because this is grass pollen. Earlier in the season, I suffered from tree pollen, and it was bad. It was pretty bad in April. But I'm fine now.
You sure?
So I was dishing out the antihistamines to other people yesterday, wasn't I? Because of the grass pollen. Grass pollen suddenly shot up. The season has just begun.
It's kicked in.
And conditions, weather-wise, are absolutely perfect at the moment for the grass pollen to be rising across the south in particular, because we've seen heavy showers and it's been warm, and that combination with some sunny spells as well. It's that combination, good growing weather you might say, but it needs to be warm with temperatures in the low 20s, and that's why levels have suddenly shot up. And sadly, conditions look like they'll stay pretty good for the rest of this week. Further north, why is it not so high in Scotland? Well, a couple of reasons. It's been quite cool on the east coast because we've had easterly winds, and although we've seen a lot of sunshine in western Scotland, they haven't had the rain. They haven't had the rain.
It's creeping up to moderate.
And also, the levels naturally go up the country as a general progression. It's seasonal. Exactly.
Right, so Alex, a bit of a quiz.
I was trying to put this off.
What do you know about pollen? First of all, the grass pollen season, obviously it's kicked in.
Yeah.
When does it extend to?
Well, it must be throughout the summer. So August?
July. Apparently, it's July. It could be later this year because everything's a bit topsy-turvy. The season has been a little bit slower.
It tends to start June. The grass pollen season runs from from the start of June, from about now. This is a classic start of the season. It runs January to July, doesn't it?
January to July. And how many people in the UK are affected by grass pollen?
As a percentage?
Yeah.
60?
Well, okay, I'll make it easier for you. How many people generally are affected by hay fever symptoms?
70%?
70%. Well, it's 18 million. So, yeah, it's about a third of the population, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, what is the least worst pollen?
The least worst pollen?
Least worst pollen. So, we've got lots of different ones. We've got weed, we've got tree, we've got grass, we've also got flower.
Well, flower pollen, I'd say.
That's logic.
That's good.
Because pollen tends to be picked up by birds and insects when it's flower pollen, whereas with grass pollen, it's the wind that really picks it up and distributes it. Okay, worst time for hay fever sufferers through the day?
Oh, it's got the middle of the day, peak temperatures.
No. Morning and evening.
Oh, right, so the levels rise early in the morning and again.
That's when the pollen is released and then it's carried away by the wind and then it slowly descends through evening time. So maybe that's when your symptoms are worse. What colour is pollen?
What colour is pollen? Pollen has a colour.
That's a curveball.
That is a curveball. Green, I'll say, because nature.
Yeah. It's yellow, it's red, it's purple, it could be white, it could be brown. Yes, loads of different colours, although it tends to be yellow in flowers because obviously you want to attract the birds and the insects.
Right.
Okay, and what are the worst weather?
How many more of these have we got?
That's the last one. Are you losing the will to live here?
No.
This is the last one. This is quite interesting because this is the meteorology, really.
Right.
What's the worst weather conditions for highest pollen for the day?
Well. Our colleague, Aidan McGivern, told me this morning that the conditions are perfect at the moment. So you need a bit of sunshine. You need warmth, that's key. You need temperatures to be, for grass, sort of low 20s. And you need you also do need, although you need sunshine, you do need some rain as well. So
and
you need
wind.
Showers. Oh, you need wind as well,
to distribute it so it's sort of within the air, suspended within the air. So yeah, that's extreme pollen. Now, we've got a brilliant image for you, haven't we? A brilliant photo.
We have.
Take a look at this. This is well, it's not fantastic, but it's unusual. Where in the world is this?
Looks like snow.
Well, you would be forgiven to think it was snow, and it's not snow. No.
It's not snow.
It's actually hail. And hail somewhere in Europe. In fact, somewhere where we all
Sweden.
holiday. No.
Finland.
Further south, further south. It's Cyprus. Can you believe that? Cyprus on Monday, an early thunderstorm through the afternoon. Now, the diameter of these hailstones was 2 centimetres.
That's pretty powerful
quite
stuff.
violent,
It's a pretty
isn't it?
violent storm.
Damaging, really.
It was over the mountains, to be clear. And there are actually people go to Cyprus and just generally hang out on the beach, but there are some reasonably sized mountains.
I mean,
across Cyprus as
Mount
well,
Olympus is
elevated.
about 1,900 metres, so higher than Ben Nevis.
But a pretty big thunderstorm, dropping hail, making it look like snow. This photo, I know, was taken by our Met Office forecasters who are out in Akrotiri. We have a host of forecasters there, and this one was taken by a Greek TV presenter whose name I won't pronounce because it's got a lot of vowels in it. It's quite complicated.
But that
we
was
will
deep.
tag him in again in our description.
That was deep, 7 centimetres deep.
7 centimetres hail.
Early
That's
June.
incredible.
Can
And
you
that was
believe
from
it?
a thunderstorm that kicked off yesterday afternoon. You can see the cell here on the satellite image. This is Cyprus here. This is Turkey. And if we just put on the lightning flashes, you can see just how severe the storms have been. But not just in the Cyprus area, right across Turkey, and in fact, incredible amounts of thunderstorms generally across central and northern parts of Europe, right up across Croatia, through much of Eastern Europe, and also as we pound further west. Now, of course, this is typical again at this time of year, particularly in the height of summer, because the landmass that provided the cold conditions for the beast from the east that we talked about earlier with Mark is now really warming up. The land is much, much warmer, and it sparks, combined with the humidity, these huge,
But
huge
it has caused some pretty awful consequences.
There's been flooding
it's been
in
flooding.
France.
I mean, in Cyprus, there were tree damage. Lots of fruit has just fallen on the floor. Livelihoods have really been broken through this season and maybe next season. And these thunderstorms here, this is the edge of our radar. You can see some really bright colours. So there could be some flash flooding here right now, because they're slowly moving northwards,
They are slowly moving northwards. Now, today, the thunderstorms generally staying in the English Channel.
Yeah.
But there is the threat that although many of us are going to have a fine couple of days, we could start to see these thunderstorms, the warm, the humid air just moving back northwards towards the UK later this week. So we may well get some further thunderstorms really from Thursday across the south onwards and pushing further north during Friday and into the weekend. And we'll have more on that in our forecasts, well, online, that we produce every day, but we do something on a Wednesday called our 10-day trend forecast that will be going out tomorrow. Again, you can watch that on YouTube and Facebook, and that has a forecast for the weekend and also looks beyond that and drills down a bit more into the meteorology. So keep your eye out for that. That'll be online on YouTube and on Facebook tomorrow
So
afternoon.
stay tuned to the forecast. Obviously, we issue a weather broadcast 4 times a day, which covers the whole of the UK. and we give details about what's happening in your area. Not only that, the weather app, you can be site specific. It's got push notifications for pollen as well if you do suffer from hay fever. And really, generally, we've had some really great weather for the beginning of June. Is it going to last?
Well, I've got some questions coming in.
Oh.
That's one of the questions,
Right.
actually. We've had some questions in. Thank you again for all your questions. Keep them coming. Twister4752 asks, hi, when are we going to have a heat wave again? Well, that's interesting because, it has actually turned a little cooler this week, but the warmth, the humidity is set to rise. But of course, the heat and humidity does then trigger thunderstorms, so we are expecting more of that to come into the weekend. Other questions coming in. What is the hottest temperature this year? Alex Carner asked that. I think we answered that with Mr. McCarthy earlier. Why has there been so many easterly winds?
That's fascinating.
Well, that's a bigger question.
Yeah.
Earlier in the year, it was to do with southern stratospheric warming. That's why we got the beasts from the east. And again, there's videos from that explaining southern stratospheric warming on our other YouTube channel, which is called Learn About Weather, which again, the link is in the description on here.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I think that's about it.
I hope you've enjoyed our company.
This
time every week on a Tuesday at 1 p.m, me, Alex and Aidan, and obviously we'll always have a guest, some expert from the Met Office.
Yes, and please do send your questions in, send your suggestions in. Go and have a look at our other YouTube channel because there's lots of interesting videos there. But if you think of another idea that's not explained there, again, feed that back. And you don't just have to ask questions if we're live because you can be watching this later on. Just keep sending us your questions and we'll try and get back and let us know. Give us the thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to our channel as well and you get all the updates.
Yeah, fantastic.
But for now, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.